Because of Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA, even club owners are stepping out in support of her. Although her rookie season has exceeded expectations, pundits and commentators have been complimenting her distinct play style and the enthusiasm she has brought to the game. It's altering the entire league. Team owners aren't only observing her abilities, they're also witnessing how she's appending the WNBA's business side. Their responses, which range from direct criticism motivated by jealousy to sincere acclaim, demonstrate how much Caitlin is changing the league. What they have to say will offer you a fresh perspective on her impact. Ted Leonsis, the longtime owner of the Washington Wizards and the Washington Mystics, has experienced many highs and lows in his career as a team owner and on the court. When he speaks about Caitlin Clark, his tone is one of admiration for the amazing influence she has had on the WNBA. The potency of the Caitlin Clark effect is that, despite not even playing for one of his clubs, her presence excites him about the league's overall future. Ted discusses Clark's impact from a business standpoint, concentrating on the financial ripple effects she generates without even discussing her basketball prowess. He sounds like an actual fan, stressing how her capacity to attract tens of thousands of fans has an economic impact that extends well beyond the arena, from increasing local spending to reviving interest in the league. Clark's impact is indisputable. It is evidence of her influence that even team owners from rival franchises can acknowledge and honor her capacity to improve the game. Clara Wu didn't hold back while talking about the enormous influence Caitlin Clark is having on the WNBA. She said that social media's ability to propel Clark's fame to previously unheard-of heights has made her ascent feel like a game-changer. As the owner of the New York Liberty, Clara thinks Clark is just what the league needed to convert ardent college basketball fans into devoted professional game supporters. Clara has personal knowledge of the difficulties the WNBA has had. When she acquired the Liberty, the team was viewed as a losing venture and a hazardous investment. Given this, her appreciation of Clark's impact on the league is all the more significant. With Clark continuing to attract larger audiences and increase awareness of the league, Clara may be leading one of the largest franchise turnarounds in WNBA history, possibly even in women's sports overall, and the league's vision appears to be becoming closer to reality every day.
That's what really allowed viewers to actually follow players from college into the WNBA. And that is really what the league was looking for and what it needed. But it was really the fact that ESPN and actually reporters like Robin Roberts and Gayle King actually went to cover Caitlin when she was in college. And so she did become a household name before she even went into the draft.
She goes on to commend Caitlin Clark for her distinct style of play, emphasizing how it stands out in women's sports and appeals to a new audience. She said that although the WNBA may not display the same level of unheard-of athleticism as the NBA players, Caitlin's style of play is so good that people come to watch it live. The Logo 3 is essentially the equivalent of our dunk. We don't need to dunk. We have the Logo 3, that kind of basketball that people want to see, and they want to see it in person. It is thanks to her and the entire rookie class that we saw such an increase in viewership. Due to the relationship between Caitlin Clark and the Chicago Sky, which is home to her rival Angel Reese, NBA legend Dwyane Wade recently shared his thoughts on Caitlin Clark, generating interest. The Chicago Sky has a reputation as a tough opponent to Clark in the league, a perception that has been fueled by incidents like Kennedy Carter's hard foul on Clark, which drew harsh criticism for its severity. Wade's viewpoint offers an unusual depth, particularly given his unreserved remarks made on Angel Reese's podcast. Angel.
Your media covers went one way, and then Caitlin's went one way, and Paige's is one. Everyone has their own, media that's on them and covering them a certain way. And yours went the way that is unfortunate from the standpoint of you have to be looked at as the bad guy.
Yeah. Although it is obvious which side he favors, he considers it regrettable that another WNBA owner has voiced their opinion on the ongoing rivalry between the team he owns, which is led by his top player and WNBA standout Caitlin Clark. Renee Montgomery, who represents the Atlanta Dream, emphasized the importance of the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese rivalry and its potential to have a long-lasting effect on the league. She noted that the rivalry has created an unprecedented level of demand and fandom for the WNBA, something that the league's owners could not have predicted prior to the two rising WNBA stars successfully converting their devoted college fan bases into WNBA devotees by bringing them into the professional league. Although she has continuously praised Caitlin Clark's undeniable talent, she has recently made controversial remarks about the rivalry. From a marketing and fan perspective, she has clearly sided with Angel Reese and labeled Caitlin Clark's fans as racist haters. She has been extremely critical of Clark supporters and even acknowledged that hate speech in sports is a long-standing tradition and, to some extent, a normal part of the culture, but she contends that her fans are going too far in their fervent criticism of rivals. Her full tirade is available here.
Caitlin had these big expectations when she came into the league, and she's clearly exceeding all of them, not only on the court, but off of the court, being an ambassador for these brands. But something sinister is happening online with Caitlin's fan base and these stands that needs to be addressed. So all I'm saying is sports hate is okay. It's acceptable. It's actually welcome. We love the passionate fans. But some of y'all are taking it too far, man. Do better.
Few voices are as influential as Magic Johnson's and Larry Bird's when it comes to the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Magic was a part of one of the most famous rivalries in sports history, going beyond basketball itself. Their 1980s rivalry is frequently credited with reviving the NBA and putting it on the path to worldwide fame. In an interview, Magic Johnson, who owns a portion of the Los Angeles Sparks and has a stake in the expansion and promotion of the WNBA, expressed optimism about the rivalry, framing it as just the beginning for these two young stars. This is because the stark differences between Magic and Bird captivated audiences who followed their stardom all the way back to their college matchups. For this reason, their legendary rivalry is frequently brought up in comparisons to the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese dynamic in women's basketball. Magic underlined that even though they have a ton of talent, they still need to prove themselves before they can be regarded as one of the greatest of all time, as he and Bird were when they were playing.
Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best later on by our play. Caitlin still has to play great to become the best WNBA player.
Todd Bailey is one of Magic Johnson's co-owners of the Los Angeles Sparks. Bailey, who is also well known for owning other major sports teams, such as the Los Angeles Dodgers in Major League Baseball, has addressed the Caitlin Clark phenomenon by emphasizing its potential to propel the league's growth. Although his viewpoint is primarily business-oriented, he is quick to attribute this growth to Caitlin Clark's talent. Todd acknowledges Clark's amazing appeal as a must-see athlete while pointing out a record-breaking figure. In the same year, the media attended more women's college basketball Final Four games when Clark was playing at her best than the men's Final Four. This type of coverage highlights Clark's revolutionary influence on the game.
The Caitlin Clark phenomenon has been nothing short of just amazing, right? The men's Final Four had a lower media audience than the women's Final Four this year. And that was Caitlin Clark, and she played her first game last night and proved that she deserves to be in the WNBA, scored 20 points in her first game. And I think it's just getting started. You're gonna see the WNBA continue to grow.
The Washington Mystics owner, Sheila Johnson, recently came under fire for remarks she made regarding Caitlin Clark's victory as Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. Sports pundits' reactions, including political puns and NBA legends, its similar Sheila Johnson's comments caused a lot of backlash, which was well-deserved considering her seeming lack of awareness and consideration in her response to such a momentous occasion for Clark. First, she asserts that many players of color are statistically equal to Caitlin Clark, a claim that is unsupported by evidence. At the moment, very few players are producing at her level, and none are doing so at her age, which is a major factor in the excitement surrounding her. It's not just that she is white. This mark is disrespectful to Caitlin Clark, who has worked hard to achieve her level of skill and fame. Rather than crediting her achievements to her privilege, it minimizes her achievements. In addition, Johnson's statements that she doesn't want to hear about racism in the WNBA reinforce a narrative about racism by highlighting Caitlin Clark. Although she claims she doesn't want to single out any one player, her comments obviously do just that. Her suggestion that Caitlin Clark be honored collectively rather than individually is maybe the most perplexing aspect of her remarks. It's difficult to overstate how much Sheila Johnson seems to misunderstand the significance of this recognition for Caitlin Clark. Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year award should go to the entire WNBA as League of the Year. This suggestion is perplexing and completely misses the point that the award is meant to celebrate an individual's accomplishments, and her proposal shifts the focus in a way that doesn't align with the award's intent. Glenn Taylor, who has owned the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx since the 1990s, recently offered his thoughts on the Caitlin Clark effect. His response was thoughtful and perceptive, starting by recognizing the obvious changes, like the rise in WNBA game attendance that can be directly attributed to Clark's influence. Then, reflecting on how Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA with enormous and unheard-of hype, Taylor lauded her amazing talent on the floor. Taylor couldn't resist comparing himself to WNBA legend Maya Moore, who was selected by the Lynx in 2011 and arrived with comparable expectations. Although his reference to Moore could have seemed like a modest boast, it actually conveyed a more profound message. There was no denying the excitement surrounding both athletes, but Maya Moore not only lived up to the hype but surpassed it. She became the Lynx franchise's cornerstone and led the team to 4 WNBA championships, matching for the most in league history. According to Taylor, Caitlin Clark is currently dealing with the same kind of pressure and expectations that Maya Moore had back then. For Taylor, the analogy emphasizes the special capacity of generational talent to improve their teams and the league as a whole. Glenn Taylor is right to recognize that we live in a different time. Even if social media by itself significantly increases the pressure, criticism, and negativity athletes face, Caitlin Clark still benefits greatly from this comparison, which shows that many believe she has the makings of a successful and outstanding career. While Matt may not have mastered the art of creating a sustainable team, he undoubtedly has an eye for talent, which is why his teams frequently feature superstar players. In an interview on The Pat McAfee Show, Matt repeatedly expressed how much he wished Clark could join his women's basketball team, the Phoenix Mercury. Few owners would openly admit wanting a player from another team, but Caitlin Clark's greatness compelled Matt to voice his admiration. He even admitted to being concerned about the Indiana Fever, predicting they would become a formidable force now that Clark is on their roster, in contrast to most owners who would exude confidence in their own squad. Matt instead acknowledged the Indiana Fever's potential to dominate, marking a rare and candid moment of honesty from the perspective of an NBA owner. We can consider the thoughts of Grant Hill, one of the part owners of the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, Hill is far better known as an NBA legend and former player in his own right. He shares a commonality, with Caitlin Clark having entered the league as a highly touted prospect. Hill was expected to be the NBA's next great player, and even the face of the league following Michael Jordan's retirement. Unfortunately, injuries derailed his career, preventing him from fully realizing his potential. We all hope that new young stars like Caitlin Clark have better luck in that regard. In an interview with Jim Jackson on The Rich Eisen Show, Grant Hill shared his thoughts on Caitlin Clark from his perspective. Hill expressed gratitude for what Caitlin has already accomplished so early in her career. He spoke about how her greatness has seamlessly transitioned from the college game to the professional women's game, and even into the broader basketball world, including the men's game. Even as the owner of an NBA franchise, Hill feels obligated to recognize her influence because her talent transcends traditional bearer in ways that no other female basketball player has ever done.
And so I know there was a lot of pressure. I know, obviously, Caitlin Clark, what she has done for the game, the college game, now the WNBA game, and I think women's basketball and men's basketball. I think she has the ability to inspire not just young girls, but young boys as well. She's that dominant, that talented, and has that kind of game that resonates.
Caitlin Clark's influence extends beyond basketball. The changes she brings send shockwaves through the league's economic landscape. Her impact has been so significant that even team owners feel compelled to acknowledge and discuss it. The fact that owners from the WNBA and even the NBA are praising her is a huge testament to her greatness. Many players can make an impact that garners attention from fans and the media, but there is a special level reserved for superstars who not only draw that attention but also compel players, coaches, and team owners to weigh in.